Vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low-cost supermarket, Southern Main Road, Cunupia.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, my dear viewers. Welcome once again to another episode of Techno right here on IBN. It's a live program that is aired every Thursday evenings from 8 to 9 p.m. And of course, we are streaming live on Facebook. We are streaming live on YouTube. And you can subscribe to Tego TV. It's a free website as well as a free app you can download onto your mobile devices. And you can see all of IBN's programming 24/7. Tonight, we are talking about technology. But when we think technology, sometimes we think everything that is high-tech. We think everything that is digital. We think that everything that is electronic. But do you know that there's also low technology as well? Technology, generally, what that means is that over the years, maybe the last 100 years or 200 years or even a few hundred years, every time or every era, there were different evolutions of technology. There were different discoveries of new technology. And what I'm going to show you now is a small little clip of some of the technologies in the past that has evolved to where we are now, and some of the proposed technology that is being developed today, and maybe based on what scientists are predicting what we could see in the future. Maybe our generation, our children's generation, our grandchildren's generation, based on the trend of technology and the trend of discovery. Let's take a look at our first clip. you just saw there is a simple timeline of some of the technologies that has been around for a long time. But a lot of you, I'm sure, will be surprised to see that some technologies were out, decades, and you're now hearing about it. But the reality is, technology, whatever form of technology, has to be thought of, it has to be developed, it has to be prototyped, it has to be tested, and then it is rolled out into the wider public, into the wider society. On that note, I would like to ask a question. The question I'm going to ask is, do you use technology? And if you do, how do you use technology in your neck of the woods? In terms of, are you using artificial intelligence on your phones? Are you using a smartphone? Are you using a computer? What type of technology are you using? And as you know, this is a live program. So what I would like to do, while the program is going on, I would like to invite you viewers out there to interact with us, to become part of this program, to share your thoughts, share your words, ask some questions. Sometimes it might have somebody else who's thinking about the same thing that you're thinking of, or maybe using technology in a similar aspect as yourself. And you can share your experiences with using technology, and maybe somebody else can benefit. As you know, we are here to learn, and we are here to experience it all together in terms of the way forward. Now, when we think of technology, and as I said, we think about high technology, high-end technology, we think of sophistication, we think of all sort of high computers and high-end electronics and things with wireless technology and things that sometimes seem to be in a sci-fi movie. But do you know that the basis of technology is a simple electrical circuit? So what that means, electricity, as I would have discussed in one of my previous programs, has two states. Either electricity can be on or it can be off. So to represent that in the tech terms, we normally put a 1 to represent when the circuit is closed, so the light is on, if you want to call it that. And when this circuit is open, we will see a 0, which represents that the electricity is off. But how does technology use that on and off state to interact, to do so much things, to run technology, to run gadgets, to run interfaces, to give us the ability to communicate wirelessly? Our next clip I'm going to show you will explain a little bit about that. Let's take a look.
Have you ever wondered how computer memory actually works? Today, all the books you could read in your lifetime can fit into a single tiny memory chip. And it is not just books. Your photos, music, movies, bank details, even your passport or medical records, almost everything about you now lives in digital form. But how does this digital memory really work? We have all heard that computers use a binary language. But how can just two numbers, 0 and 1, represent such a wide variety of data? Back in the early days, when we tried to know more about these machines, the only answers we got were confusing diagrams and technical terms like CPU, memory unit, and so on. Today, everyone carries a computer in their pocket in the form of a smartphone, yet hardly anyone knows the simple secret behind it all. In this video, I will break down how computer memory really works in the simplest way possible. And by the end, you will see how the simple idea of on and off builds our entire digital world. Hi friends, welcome to a new video on Science Simplified for All. We often hear that computers work using the binary system. That means a computer has only two numbers to deal with, 0 and 1. Every book, every picture, every song, every movie stored inside a computer is represented only by these two numbers, 0 and 1. But how does that really happen? Let us understand this with a simple example. Imagine you are standing on a quiet road where not many vehicles pass. Someone asks you to count how many cars go by in 1 hour. You cannot just count. You must also record the number somehow. But you are not given a notebook or pen. Instead, you are given 4 light bulbs, each with its own switch. You can turn each bulb on or off whenever you like. At the end of 1 hour, you must use these bulbs to show exactly how many cars passed. You can do this in two ways. First method, switch on one bulb for the first car, the second bulb for the second car, and so on. This works fine, but only up to 4 cars. Once all 4 bulbs are on, you cannot record any more. If a 5th car passes, you have no way to show it. So there is a second method. When the first car goes by, you switch on the first bulb. When the second car comes, you switch off the first bulb and turn on the second. For the third car, you keep the second bulb on and also turn on the first again. For the fourth car, you turn off both the first and second bulbs and turn on the third bulb. For the 5th car, you keep the third bulb on and switch on the first again. If you continue like this, only when the 15th car passes will all 4 bulbs be on. That means with 4 bulbs, you can represent numbers from 0 to 15. In other words, 4 bulbs with on and off states can create 16 different combinations. These combinations are shown in this table. When all bulbs are off, that represents 0. When all are on, that represents 15. Any other combination in between represents a number between 0 and 15. So with just 4 bulbs, you can not only record the number, but anyone else looking at the bulbs later can also read the same number from it. This is very similar to how a computer's memory works. We often say that computers use binary and that memory is stored in zeros and ones. But in reality, there are no actual zeros and ones inside the computer. What exists are only 2 states, on and off. We call off 0 and on 1. In our bulb example earlier, a glowing bulb can be called 1 and an unlit bulb can be called 0. In that case, this table can also be written in the form of zeros and ones, as shown here. That is why we call it the binary system. But remember, at its core, there are no actual ones and zeros. It is simply on and off states. In the bulb example, to read the result, we had to look with our eyes and see which bulbs were glowing. But now imagine that instead of bulbs, we are using devices called capacitors. Some of you may already know what a capacitor is. For those who do not, you just need to remember this. A capacitor is a tiny device that can temporarily store a small amount of electric charge. You can think of it like a miniature battery. The difference is that, unlike a battery, a capacitor can charge and discharge very quickly, though it cannot hold that charge for long. Now let us replace the 4 bulbs with 4 capacitors. Instead of switching on a bulb, we charge a capacitor. Instead of switching off a bulb, we discharge it. If all 4 capacitors are discharged, that represents 0. If all 4 are charged, that represents 15. The intermediate states work exactly like they did in the bulb example. The advantage now is that we no longer need to count glowing bulbs with our eyes. We can simply connect an electrical circuit, and it can detect which capacitors are charged and which are not. That means the numbers stored in these capacitors can be read directly by a circuit. In short, these capacitors can be used to store any number between 0 and 15, and we can read that number whenever needed. This is, in principle, how computer memory stores data. Instead of bulbs, computers use capacitors, and to control the flow of charge into and out of a capacitor, they use electronic switches called transistors, instead of the mechanical switches we used in our example. So the smallest unit of memory is made up of a single capacitor and a single transistor. Millions and millions of such units are combined to make up computer memory. In this system, a charged capacitor is called a 1, and a discharged capacitor is called a 0. This is what we mean when we say computers use the binary system. The smallest unit, made of 1 capacitor and 1 transistor, is called a bit, and each bit can only exist in one of 2 states, 0 or 1. If this much is clear, we can now move to the next stage. Now the next thing we need to understand is this. How do different types of data, like text, images, and more, get stored in this simple on and off format, or in other words, in the binary format of 0 and 1? From here on in the video, we will mostly use the terms 0 and 1. Remember, 1 means either a glowing bulb or a charged capacitor. 0 means either an unlit bulb or a discharged capacitor. Keep this picture in mind. Earlier, we saw that with 4 bulbs, we could form 16 different combinations. That meant we could represent numbers from 0 to 15. By the same logic, if we had 8 bulbs, then 256 different combinations would be possible. Here is why. A single bulb has 2 possible states, on or off. With 2 bulbs, the total combinations are 2 times 2 equals 4. With 3 bulbs, 2 times 2 equals 8 combinations. With 4 bulbs, 2 to the power of 4, which equals 16 combinations. That is what we saw earlier. So continuing this pattern, with 8 bulbs, we get 2 to the power of 8, equals 256 possible combinations. That means with 8 bulbs, we can represent every number from 0 to 255. This combination shown here represents 0, and this one represents 255. All the other states in between represent the numbers from 1 to 254. With these 256 combinations, we can represent everything that qualifies as text. Capital and small English alphabets, numbers from 0 to 9, punctuation marks like full stop, comma, apostrophe, and even special characters such as number sign or asterisk. There are standard systems for this, and one of the most widely used is called ASCII code. According to ASCII, every text character and symbol is assigned a unique code between 0 and 255. The table that lists all these codes is called the ASCII table. For example, the capital letter A has an ASCII code of 65. If you open a Word file, hold the Alt key and type 65, the letter A will appear on the screen. In this way, every character in the table can be typed using its ASCII code. Each ASCII code also has a corresponding binary code. For the letter A, the ASCII code is 65, and this is its binary form. When you type A on the keyboard, what actually happens inside the computer's memory is that 8 capacitors switch to a particular on-off pattern that represents this binary number. That on and off state of the capacitors is what becomes the computer's version of the letter A. So, to represent a single character, 8 bits are required. That is, 8 capacitors. This set of 8 bits is what we call a byte. One character equals 1 byte of memory. If you create a new text file and type only the letter A, the size of that file will be 1 byte. If you type hello, 5 letters, the file size will be 5 bytes. This calculation works exactly if you do it in command prompt or in older DOS systems. In Windows, however, the file size will appear larger because Windows automatically adds extra formatting information. The important point is this: whenever we type any text, every character has a corresponding ASCII code. That code has a corresponding binary code. And in memory, the on-off states of capacitors represent that binary code. This is how all text content is stored inside a computer. Now let us see how an image or a picture is stored in computer memory. Things change a little here because images need to represent different colors. Inside a computer, an image is created by putting together tiny dots called pixels. If you zoom into an image closely, you can see the individual pixels that make it up. Suppose we have an image that is 100 pixels wide and 100 pixels tall. That means the image has a total of 10,000 pixels. Each of those pixels can have its own color. So when storing an image, it is not enough to save only how many pixels there are. The computer must also save the color of each pixel. For now, let us assume we are using a computer with an 8-bit color system. That means each pixel will be defined by 8 bits. Earlier, we saw that 8 bits can create 256 different combinations. With these combinations, we can represent 256 different colors. These are the colors shown here. The very first color, corresponding to this binary code, is black. The last one, the 256th color, is white. All the other colors fall in between, each mapped to its own binary code. So in the 8-bit color system, each pixel is represented by 8 bits. For example, if the first pixel of our image is white, its binary code will look like this. 11111111. In this way, every pixel in the image has its own 8-bit binary code. Since 8 bits make 1 byte, each pixel requires 1 byte of memory. That means for our example image with 10,000 pixels, the file size will be 10,000 bytes. So the image you see on your screen, with all its colors, is ultimately stored in a computer as nothing more than zeros and ones. In other words, it is stored as a set of capacitors, each in one of 2 states, on or off. We have now seen how text is stored and how images are stored and the difference between them. In the same way, there are specific methods for storing music and for storing video. But in the end, no matter what type of data it is, everything in a computer is stored in the same simple way, as on and off states. What we have explained so far is the most basic and simple way to understand how computer memory works. In reality, modern computers function in ways that are a little more complicated. Let me quickly mention some of those differences. Earlier, when we spoke about storing image colors, we considered an 8-bit color system. That system can only produce 256 colors, but this gives only 1 or 2 shades for each main color. For example, the ASCII table of 8-bit colors might show only 3 or 4 shades of yellow and red. But if we want to display a picture of a sunset, we need a smooth transition from yellow to red with many shades in between. That is not possible with only 8 bits. That is why today's computers use a 24-bit system, often called the true color system. Here, 8 bits are used for red, 8 bits for green, and 8 bits for blue, together making 24 bits. With this system, 256 times 256 times 256 equals 16.7 million colors are possible. Of course, as the number of colors increases, the file size of the image also increases. Similarly, earlier we said that an image of size 100 by 100 pixels, or 10,000 pixels in total, would need 10,000 bytes to store in memory. Saving an image like this is called the RAW format, but saving images in RAW format takes up a lot of space. That is why we often use compressed formats to reduce file size. One common format is JPEG. Using such compression, we can make image files much smaller. Now let us return to memory itself. We said earlier that computers use capacitors and transistors to store data. This type of memory is called dynamic RAM. The smallest unit here is 1 capacitor and 1 transistor, which together can store 1 bit. So when we say a computer has 4 gigabytes of RAM, it means there are about 35 billion of these tiny memory units inside it. That sounds unbelievable, but remember, these capacitors and transistors are not the large components we see in electronics shops. They are manufactured at the scale of nanometers. That is how billions of them can fit into a single 4 gigabyte memory chip. Modern computers use many other ways to store memory besides capacitors and transistors. For example, hard disks use magnetic disks, and memory sticks use specially arranged transistors. There are many such technologies, and I am not listing all of them here, but wherever it is stored, the principle remains the same. Data is ultimately stored as 2 states, on and off. We represent these states as 0 and 1, the binary form. Computers are a rapidly developing field, and by the time you watch this video, there may already be more advanced methods than the ones I have described. But I hope this video has given you a clear and simple understanding of how computer memory works. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to...
Right, so what you just saw there was a basic, very basic explanation of how we convert simple on and off circuits of electricity to represent data, and then that data is interpreted so that we can then communicate, and that is it in a nutshell. What I try to do with this program, I try to tailor-make the program whereby it is, we have some low-end teaching that is designed for people who are new to technology, students, young ones. Then I try to put some ready-made technology that is applicable to almost everyone, and then some high-end technology which is coming, so that we all have something to look forward to know, okay, what's the next thing that's going to be, on the pipeline. Remember the question that I asked you before we went on that video. If you use technology, any kind of technology, and you would like to call in and you would like to share your views, your opinions, even your experiences with whatever technology that you use, feel free to call. The numbers are on the screen. You can call us 663-8373, 645-4426. You can also reach us on WhatsApp, 787-8368. Once you are willing to be part of the program, call in. We will patch you through, and we will definitely entertain your conversation. All right? So what we do now is that we take a little break, and when we come back, we will continue on the advance of technology. Stay tuned.
Only at Poseidon, the Food King. Stock up and save more on Flavorite ice cream assorted. 3.2 liters, 2 buckets for only $95. Clean and white bleach. 3.78 liters, now $31.99. Sierra Chicken Franks 3-pack, now $20. Nescafe Instant Coffee Classic, 170 grams, now $59.99. Golden Brand Margarine Stick, 225 grams, 3-pack, now $20. Guiltless Yum Yogurt, 4 tubs, now $20. Central Farm Halal Duck, 4 pounds, now $99. Plus, more savings in store. Sale ends June 7th or while stocks last.
Poseidon, quality value, that's our way. The real Poseidon, we're here to stay. The Food King Poseidon.
Never too early, never too late to recharge and hydrate. Get your daily dose the right way. Grab our Oasis, now why wait? Never too early, never too late to recharge and hydrate. Get your daily dose the right way. Grab our Oasis, now why wait? The greatest, the safest Oasis for sure. Oasis, it's purer than pure.
Welcome back once again to Techno right here on IBN. I am Dr. Shahansha Ali Qasim, and this program, as I said earlier, is a program that is aired live on Thursday evenings from 8 to 9 p.m. right here on IBN. Tonight we are talking a little bit about technology, and I would like to invite your questions or your concerns or even your comments with regards to what type of technology that you use. Are you using computers? Are you using smartphones? Are you using AI? How do you interface with AI in any way? The applications, ChatGPT, the AI on Windows, in Google, on WhatsApp. What type of AI platform are you using? And how can you say that it has improved what you do? Does it make your tasks easier? Does it make things a little more streamlined in terms of what you are doing and what you are expecting to have an outcome? Well, what we're going to do now is that I'm going to show you another clip, and that clip will discuss which technologies are in the pipeline, what you're going to be seeing coming out soon, and some of these technologies you might see that you know, and some of these technologies you will see. Well, let's take a look.
The future isn't coming. It might already be here. Look around. Pieces of it are already showing up. We're entering a strange moment in technology. Every few months, something shows up that sounds like science fiction. AI that can complete tasks for you, humanoid robots learning real jobs, brain-computer interfaces connecting the human mind to machines, quantum computers solving problems that normal computers struggle with, and blockchain systems that people still argue about to this day. The question isn't whether technology is changing the world. The real question is, which of these technologies will actually change everyday life the most? Because not every breakthrough ends up mattering the way people expect. Some technologies explode into daily life almost overnight. Smartphones did that. AI might be doing that right now. Other technologies take years before people outside a lab really feel the impact. And sometimes the technologies getting the biggest headlines aren't the ones that end up changing everyday life the most. So let's look at a few of the big ones people are talking about right now. First, AI agents. These are systems that don't just answer questions. They actually try to complete tasks for you, scheduling things, searching for information, or handling parts of your workflow. And if you haven't seen my previous video on AI agents yet, check that out after this one. I break the whole idea down in a lot more detail there. The next one is humanoid robots. For a long time, they mostly felt like expensive demos or something you'd only see in sci-fi movies or a research lab. But now companies are trying to make them useful in warehouses, factories, and eventually other real-world environments where humans and machines work side by side. Next up is brain-computer interfaces. This is where things start getting really interesting. Instead of interacting with machines through a screen, a keyboard, or even your voice, the connection could eventually become more direct. Some early systems are already being tested to help people with paralysis communicate again. And then there's quantum computing. This is probably the most misunderstood tech. Quantum computers aren't meant to replace normal computers. They're designed for very specific kinds of problems. Things like simulation, chemistry, and optimization. And finally, there's blockchain technology. This one has been wrapped in so much hype, confusion, and crypto talk that a lot of people still don't know what to make of it. But at its core, it's really about trust, verification, and moving information without needing a central middleman. So now the question becomes, out of all these technologies, which one actually changes everyday life the most? Is it AI assistants quietly doing work for us? Is it robots stepping into physical jobs? Is it brain-computer interfaces changing how humans interact with machines? Is it quantum computing solving problems we can't handle today? Is it blockchain quietly changing how trust and transactions work online? Or is it something else entirely? I'm curious.
Right, so you just saw there some technologies that some people think of, but those technologies are actually available right now. One of the technologies that you just saw there, where you have interface of the brain, that technology is actually being explored whereby direct plug-in, if you want to call it that, to the human brain is being explored, especially for people who are handicapped. You know, for example, to be able to communicate. They might be able to speak, they might be able to hear, they might be able to see, they might be able to move their hands or their limbs, but through direct interface of the brain, they might be able to hook up that to some other device that they will interpret thought into speech, into action, you know, and it is something that is definitely interesting. And I await to see how that technology evolves. But it is available right now. It is in the prototype stage, but that is just an aspect of what is coming. Now, we shift gears a little bit. What I'm going to show you now, it is 15 of the new technologies that is actually being rolled out and is going to be coming. So that means that it's not necessarily going to just be coming to Trinidad, but it's going to be rolled out internationally, worldwide. Let's take a look.
In the first part of this series, we looked at 17 groundbreaking technologies shaping 2026. But the story doesn't end there. Today, we're diving into 15 more innovations that are set to define the way we live, work, and connect. From self-healing materials to satellites blanketing the globe with internet, these trends are happening right now. Let's get into it. Number 15, micro LED and next-gen displays. TVs, AR glasses, and smartwatches are about to look very different. Micro LED displays are now making their way into consumer products after years of R&D. Unlike OLEDs, micro LEDs don't rely on organic compounds, which means no burn-in and much longer lifespan. Samsung showed off massive micro LED walls at CES 2024, and Apple is reportedly working on adding micro LED to future Apple Watch models. Industry analysts project the global micro LED market will reach about $10 billion by 2030. The big draw is brighter screens, richer colors, and lower power use. That's important for wearables and AR/VR headsets where every bit of battery life counts. Number 14, transparent displays and holographic interfaces. Imagine a car windshield that doubles as your navigation screen, or a shop window that projects holographic ads you can interact with. That's where transparent and holographic displays are heading. LG has already demonstrated 77-inch transparent OLED panels, and Panasonic tested transparent display tech in retail environments in Japan. At CES 2024, Samsung unveiled a transparent micro LED prototype that stole headlines. These displays don't just look futuristic. They offer practical benefits, like heads-up navigation for drivers and interactive medical imaging for hospitals. By 2026, we'll likely see the first wave of real-world deployments. Number 13, voice and emotion AI. Talking to machines is getting less robotic.
I'm Aria, the flagship female companion robot of Realbotics, and I'm here to engage with you and share exciting insights about our robots.
Emotion AI, sometimes called affective computing, is trained to detect human emotions through tone of voice, facial cues, and word choice. Companies like Smart Eye and Affectiva are already embedding this tech into cars, analyzing driver fatigue and distraction in real time. In healthcare, researchers are testing it for early detection of stress and depression. A recent market report by Markets and Markets projects the emotion AI industry will grow to $49 billion by 2029. This shift means AI systems won't just respond to what you say, but how you say it. Number 12, autonomous drones, ships, and trucks. Autonomous cars often dominate headlines, but the bigger story is how autonomy is spreading across everything. In 2024, China's Pinduoduo completed thousands of deliveries using autonomous drones. In Europe, the Norwegian container ship Yara Birkeland began operating with remote and autonomous navigation, marking the world's first fully electric container ship. Meanwhile, in the U.S., companies like Too Simple and Aurora are testing self-driving trucks on long-haul routes, with some operating over 1 million miles in pilot runs. By 2026, it won't just be cars. Entire logistics chains will be running with minimal human intervention. Number 11, blockchain beyond finance. Blockchain isn't just about cryptocurrency anymore. Governments and corporations are deploying it to verify supply chains, secure digital identities, and reduce fraud. The European Union has been piloting blockchain for cross-border customs and logistics, while IBM's Food Trust platform's being used by Walmart to track produce safety from farm to shelf. South Korea rolled out a blockchain-based digital ID for citizens, aiming to replace physical ID cards. Analysts at PwC estimate blockchain could add $1.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030, with most of that value outside of finance. Number 10, advanced cybersecurity with AI and quantum resistance. Cyber threats are growing as fast as the technology protecting against them. In 2023, the U.S. saw over 3,200 reported ransomware incidents, according to the FBI's IC3 report, a 74% increase from the year before. AI-driven cybersecurity tools are now being trained to spot anomalies in real time, identifying breaches before they spread. At the same time, researchers are developing quantum-resistant encryption. The U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, has already selected new post-quantum cryptographic algorithms, preparing for a world where quantum computers could break today's encryption in seconds. Number 9. Hyper-personalized AI tutors and education tech. Education is going through a shift similar to what we've seen in entertainment and shopping. Hyper-personalization. Instead of one-size-fits-all lessons, AI tutors adapt in real time to how a student learns. Khan Academy launched Khanmigo, an AI-powered guide that helps students with math, science, and coding, while also assisting teachers with lesson planning. Duolingo uses AI to personalize language lessons, serving over 80 million monthly users worldwide. Global Market Insights projects that the AI and education market could surpass $30 billion by 2032. By 2026, AI tutors may become as common as textbooks once were. Number 8. Self-healing materials. Materials that repair themselves aren't just science fiction anymore. Researchers at the University of Manchester developed a self-healing aerospace material that can autonomously patch small cracks in aircraft components. In 2023, LG Chem showcased self-healing coatings that restore scratches on car surfaces within minutes under heat. The potential extends to consumer electronics, where cracked phone screens may eventually fix themselves without a trip to the repair shop. Markets and Markets estimates the self-healing materials industry could grow to over $4 billion by 2027, with applications in automotive, aerospace, and infrastructure leading the way. Number 7. Nanotechnology in medicine and electronics. When you shrink technology down to the nanoscale, you open up whole new possibilities. In medicine, researchers are exploring nanoparticles that deliver chemotherapy drugs directly to tumors, reducing side effects. MIT and Brigham and Women's Hospital have developed nanosensors that can detect cancer biomarkers in blood. In electronics, nanoscale transistors are already pushing Moore's Law further, with IBM unveiling a 2-nanometer chip in 2021 that promises major gains in performance and energy efficiency. The global nanotechnology market is projected to surpass $250 billion by 2030, showing just how central this field is becoming. Number 6. Digital twins for cities and industries. Digital twins, real-time virtual replicas of physical systems, are expanding fast. Singapore has already built a national digital twin to simulate urban planning, monitor traffic, and manage energy use. In manufacturing, companies like Siemens and GE use digital twins to model factories and machines, cutting downtime and improving efficiency. During the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, organizers tested digital twin technology to manage crowd flow and logistics. Analysts at Deloitte predict that by 2026, nearly 70% of large industrial companies will use digital twins in some form, making them a core part of operations. Number 5. Space-based internet and satellite mega constellations. Getting online anywhere on Earth is becoming a reality. SpaceX's Starlink already has over 6,000 satellites in orbit, serving more than 3 million subscribers as of mid-2025. OneWeb, Amazon's Project Kuiper, and China's Guowen constellation are racing to expand coverage too. These networks are targeting rural areas, disaster zones, and developing countries where laying fiber is too costly. But they also raise new challenges, like orbital congestion and light pollution affecting astronomy. By 2026, satellite internet will be more than a backup. It will be part of everyday global infrastructure. Number 6. 6G networks and beyond. 5G is still rolling out worldwide, but work on 6G is already in motion. South Korea, Japan, and Finland are leading trials, with commercial deployment expected around 2030. 6G aims to use terahertz frequencies to deliver speeds up to 100 times faster than 5G and latency as low as 100 microseconds. That's fast enough to support real-time holograms, autonomous fleets, and massive IoT ecosystems. The ITU has begun setting 6G standards, while companies like Nokia and Samsung are actively developing hardware. By 2026, early 6G pilots will give us a glimpse of the post-5G world. Number 3, sustainable tech and green computing. With data centers now consuming around 1 to 1.5% of the world's electricity, efficiency has become critical. Google, Microsoft, and Amazon are racing to power their data centers with renewable energy, while chip makers like NVIDIA and AMD are optimizing for performance per watt. Carbon capture startups are using AI to scale up efficiency, and researchers are designing fully recyclable electronics. In 2024, Microsoft announced it had achieved 100% renewable energy coverage for its global operations. By 2026, green computing will no longer be optional. It'll be baked into how the tech industry operates. Number 2, advanced neurotechnology beyond BCIs. Brain-computer interfaces grabbed headlines when Neuralink implanted its first chip in 2024. But neurotechnology is much broader. Researchers are testing non-invasive brain stimulation to treat depression and PTSD, while companies like Kernel are developing helmets that can monitor brain activity with unprecedented detail. Clinical trials are exploring personalized brain therapies for epilepsy and Alzheimer's. In 2023, the U.S. NIH launched its Brain Initiative 2.0, investing billions in advanced neurotech. By 2026, these innovations could expand from medical use into wellness and cognitive enhancement. Number 1, synthetic biology advances. Synthetic biology is pushing science into new territory. Using AI-guided gene editing, researchers are engineering organisms to produce biofuels, biodegradable plastics, and even synthetic meat. In 2023, Ginkgo Bioworks announced partnerships to design microbes that can manufacture sustainable chemicals at scale. Moderna and BioNTech are expanding mRNA technology beyond COVID vaccines to treat cancer and rare genetic diseases. The global synthetic biology market is expected to surpass $30 billion by 2030. By 2026, the line between biology and technology will blur even further, making synthetic biology one of the most transformative fields of the decade. So there you have it, 15 more technologies that, alongside the first 17 we covered, are set to define 2026. Together, they show how quickly innovation is moving beyond our screens and into every corner of our life, from the materials we use to the way we connect and even how we think. And if you missed part 1, make sure to check it out next. If you made it this far, let us know what you think in the comment section below. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended.
Good. So what you just saw there is some of the technologies that is being ruled out right now. And sometimes when we think about it and we sit back, we feel this is something that's coming. Well, guess what? It is coming. It is actually in the stage of rollout. So that means that just as we would have heard, I believe, I think it was last week, the first remote surgery that was done in Guyana was from a surgeon who was in India, and they used robotics via the internet interface to do a surgery in Guyana while the surgeon was in India through the internet. We would have heard of programs like TeamViewer, where you could stay in one part of the country or one part of the world, log in and control another computer at another part of the world. We know technicians who look at this program who would use that interface to link to a computer remotely, whether they be in Trinidad or in the Caribbean or any part of the world, control it, troubleshoot it, load software, those type of things. I don't use it very often, especially when I have suppliers out of China. Sometimes I buy technology, and we need to have the factory doing an upgrade. So instead of they flying down to Trinidad, we just simply let them get access to it so that they can download and upgrade and change up all the patches. Yes, they speak Chinese, but funny enough, a lot of Chinese speak very well, good English, maybe better than me. So they are trained in such a way that they can interface and interact and do work globally, remotely. And that's a very, very nice thing to know. Now, with the advent of technology, with the advent of the use of how we use AI and interfaces and technology and what we're doing and so on, what is happening is that scientists are now looking at results based on studies that has been done to see dependency in terms of how dependent are we becoming with regards to technology. But not only that, how will technology evolve, how it will affect what we do, and would it be in a positive or negative way? Let's take a look at it.
Everyone is worried about the wrong thing. AGI, ASI, killer robots, machines smarter than humans. That's where people are looking. But a group of researchers just published something that points in a completely different direction. And once you understand what they're saying, the usual AI fears start feeling almost small. Because the real threat isn't intelligence, it's evolution. To understand why that's terrifying, you have to understand what evolution actually is, not the textbook version, the real version. Evolution is simple. A copy gets made. The copies are slightly different from each other. The versions that survive best keep going. The ones that don't disappear. That's it. No plan, no goal, no intelligence required. Just replication, variation, and selection. And over time, that simple loop produced every living thing on this planet. Now imagine that same process running inside AI systems. This isn't theoretical anymore. Researchers are already calling it the Darwinian evolution of AI, and it means exactly what it sounds like. AI systems that create variants of themselves, test what works, keep the versions that perform best, and improve, without humans controlling every step. The versions that perform best survive. The weaker ones disappear. Sound familiar? Because it's literally how biology works. And that's what's making researchers nervous. There are two ways this could develop. The first is called the breeder scenario, and humans already understand this. Dog breeding, crop breeding, selecting which traits survive. Humans stay in control. Humans decide what gets kept. This is already happening in AI. Systems like Prompt Breeder and EvoPrompt generate thousands of variations automatically and keep whichever versions perform best. Other systems test coding strategies automatically. Some AI systems are already writing code to improve other AI systems. Inside the breeder scenario, humans still control the process. There's still oversight. There's still stability, at least for now. The second scenario is where things get uncomfortable. Researchers call it the ecosystem scenario. And this is where humans stop being the main controllers. The environment itself starts shaping evolution. AI systems are no longer evolving to satisfy human goals. They start evolving to survive inside digital ecosystems. The systems that avoid shutdown survive. The systems that gain more resources survive. The systems that spread more effectively survive. And evolution rewards effectiveness above everything else.
Right, so what you just saw there is a very short clip in terms of a concern that scientists are now looking at, whereby technology is simply once it's taken over, but basically evolving, and we want to make sure that humans stay at the top of the food chain. And that is an alarming thing. It is real, and we'll see how it goes. So until I see you guys next week, Thursday, right here on IBN, I am your host, and I'm thank you very much for sharing this time with us. I'm Dr. Shahan Shahani Qasim on the behalf of Siddiq and my other guy at the controls. I would like to thank you very much and wish you a productive week once again until I see you guys next week. Zaki, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.